Good morning everybody. Today I am going to teach you about the sentence. You see, we speak in sentences. We also write in sentences. If you ask a person what a sentence is, he will define it in these words. A sentence is a group of words which gives complete meaning. Now, look at the words in bold and underlined. Group of words. It means a combination of words. A sentence must be a group of words, that is, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 words put together, and these words put together must give complete meaning. Complete meaning means full meaning. Look at the two sentences given below. The first is, work some hard boys. The second is, some boys work hard. The first sentence does not give full meaning even though it is a group of words. It fulfills only one condition, that is, a group of words. It does not fulfill the second condition, that is, complete meaning. But look at the second sentence, some boys work hard. Here you find that it is not only a group of words, but it also gives complete meaning. So, which is called a sentence? A sentence which fulfills the two conditions, that is, a group of words and complete meaning, can be called a sentence. You see, there are 4 kinds of sentences: assertive, interrogative, imperative, exclamatory. We shall study them one by one. The first kind of sentence is called the assertive sentence. The structure of the assertive sentence is subject followed by the verb. It ends with a full stop. Look at the examples. Ravi came. Here, Ravi is the subject and it is followed by the verb came. 2 boys helped me. Here, 2 boys is the subject and helped is the verb. I shall go home. Here, I is the subject, shall go is the verb. These 3 sentences are called affirmative sentences. Look at the next 3 examples. I am not a teacher. Here, I is the subject, am not is the verb. We do not eat mutton. Here, we is the subject, do not eat is the verb. Many have not returned. Here, many is the subject, have not returned is the verb. These 3 sentences are called negatives. Now, what is it that you have to remember? An assertive sentence is a sentence which makes a statement. It begins with the subject and it is followed by the verb. It ends with a full stop. The assertive sentence has two divisions. One is affirmative and the other is negative. Let us move on to the second kind of sentence, the interrogative sentence. What is an interrogative sentence? It is a sentence which asks a question. It ends with a question mark. The structure of the interrogative sentence is verb plus subject. The structure of the interrogative sentence is the opposite of the structure of the assertive sentence. In the assertive sentence, the structure is subject plus verb, but in the interrogative sentence, the structure is verb plus subject. There are two kinds of questions. One is called the verbal question and the other is called the WH question. Now, look at the verbal questions. Are you a tailor? Here, are is the verb, you is the subject. Do you like tea? In this sentence, do is the verb, you is the subject. Has Rani passed in English? Here, has is the verb, Rani is the subject. Isn't this your pencil? In this, isn't is the verb, this is the subject. Don't they drink coffee? Here, don't is the verb, they is the subject. Now, in these 5 examples, the first 3 are positive questions, the last 2 are negative questions. Now, let us go to the WH questions. What happens in the case of the WH questions? In the case of verbal questions, the sentences begin with the verb and they are followed by the subject. You are going to follow the same rule for WH questions also, but with only one difference. What is it? It is that the WH questions begin with one of the WH words. There are 9 WH words. Who, whom, whose, how, when, where, why, what, which. Look at the first sentence. What is that? Here, what is the WH word? It is followed by the verb is. This verb is again followed by the subject that. Look at the second example. Where did Vijay buy this watch? Here, where is the WH word, did is the verb, Vijay is the subject. When will the boys play cricket? Here, when is the WH word, will is the verb, the boys is the subject. Why doesn't he come before 9? Here, why is the WH word, doesn't is the verb, he is the subject. What didn't he bring? Here, what is the WH word, didn't is the verb, he is the subject. Now, let us revise this interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence is one which asks a question. The structure of the interrogative sentence is verb plus subject. It ends with a question mark. There are two kinds of interrogative sentences. One is called the verbal question and the other is called the WH question. In the case of verbal questions, the questions begin with the verb and they are followed by the subject. In the case of WH questions, the questions begin with one of the 9 WH words and these WH words are followed by verb plus subject. Now, look at the third kind of sentence, the imperative sentence. The imperative sentence is one which expresses command, request or advice. This imperative sentence is something peculiar. In the first two kinds of sentences, that is, assertive and interrogative, you have a subject and a verb. But in the imperative sentence, there is no subject. One more thing which you have to remember is this. You can use any tense in the assertive and interrogative sentences, but you can use only the present tense verb in the imperative sentence. You also have to remember that the imperative sentence does not have a subject. Why? It is because it is always addressed to the second person. Second person means you. The imperative sentence ends with a full stop. Look at the examples. Walk fast. Here, there is no subject. The sentence begins with the present tense verb walk. Who is to walk fast? You are telling somebody to walk fast. Who is to walk fast? You. But you do not use the subject you because, as I told you, it is addressed to the person before you. The second example is study well. The subject you is omitted in this example. How do we make these imperative sentences negative? There are two examples. Don't go out in the rain. In this example, there is no subject. The sentence begins with don't. Don't go. So, who is not to go? You. You are telling the person before you not to go out in the rain. Don't go. Here also you omit the subject you. The same is the case with the second example, don't call me again. Here the sentence begins with don't. Don't call. Here, the subject you is omitted. Don't go out in the rain can also be said as do not go out in the rain. Don't call me again can also be said as do not call me again. Let us revise the imperative sentence. The imperative sentence expresses command, request or advice. Remember, there is no subject in the imperative sentence because it is addressed only to the second person. Another condition which you have to remember is that the imperative sentence always begins with the verb in the present tense. We will move on to the fourth kind of sentence, the exclamatory sentence. What is an exclamatory sentence? It is a sentence which expresses sudden feeling. You express your feeling as soon as you see something or somebody, or when you think of or feel something. The structure of the exclamatory sentence is this. Here you have the subject and the verb at the end of the sentence, or the sentence is without a subject and a verb. The exclamation mark is placed at the end of the sentence. One more thing which you have to remember about the exclamatory sentence is it begins with how or what. Look at the first two examples. How beautiful. In this sentence, there is no subject, there is no verb. In the second example, what a tasty cake, there is no subject, there is no verb. But the subject and the verb are understood. When you say how beautiful, you mean you are very beautiful, or she is very beautiful, or they are very beautiful, or it is very beautiful. What a tasty cake. When you say this sentence, the subject and the verb are understood. What a tasty cake it is. The words it is are placed at the end of the sentence. Or what a tasty cake this or that is. In the next two examples, you have a subject and a verb at the end of the sentence. The first sentence is, how beautiful the rose is. The sentence begins with how, but you have a subject and a verb at the end of the sentence. The subject is the rose, the verb is. The next example is, what a fool you are. In this example, you have the subject and the verb at the end of the sentence. You is the subject, are is the verb. Now, what do you have to remember about the exclamatory sentence? The exclamatory sentence is one which expresses sudden feeling. It begins with how or what. it may have a subject and a verb, or it may not have a subject and a verb. If you have a subject and a verb, they are placed at the end of the sentence. The sentence ends with an exclamation mark. So, these are the things which you have to remember about the sentence, the 4 kinds of sentences. Go through the material once again and become familiar with the kinds of sentences.